Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to English 454. So far we have discussed Aristotle, the Poetics. I've given you the background of his life, and I've already told you what he thought about art, how he was different from Plato, and what was the route that he took. According to him, art is very much different from what Plato thought art was, and his theory of discussing art is very different from that of Plato. He never believed that art should be there for the sake of instruction. He always believed that art should be there for the sake of entertainment, for the sake of pleasure. So that is why we're going to discuss what he thought about tragedy, what he thought about poetry, how he thought poetry was different from the other forms of art. It was quite a long discussion, and we've already covered almost 9 chapters of poetics, and in those 9 chapters we have discussed what was his definition of tragedy, what were the important plot, what were the important terminologies that he has used, and we're going to further do it as we go on, moving from Aristotle's Poetic, chapter number 10 and onwards. You have to keep that in mind, what Aristotle thought about poetry. He said that poetry is, the basic of poetry is mimesis, and we've already discussed what mimesis is. Mimesis is imitation, but it's not the kind of imitation that Plato believed in, but it's the different kind of imitation. For him, it was an imitation, it was a good thing. It was the imitation of everything that was made, that was in this world. Everything that poetry is mimesis, so poetry is going to make you think about things that exist in this world, things that might have happened in your life. All these things are important, and poetry should be able to make you recall them. It should be written so that you can identify with whatever is written in that piece of poetry. Okay? So let's move on from whatever we have done so far. If you remember that we have already discussed Peripeteia, we have discussed Anagnorisis, we have discussed what is mythos, we have discussed how important plot is, what is character, what is thought. We have discussed these things, but Aristotle takes his job a little too seriously. So he's going to continue discussing each and everything in detail. So let's move forward. The first thing that Aristotle thinks is very important is the plot of the play, because he thinks that it is very easy to write a good dialogue. It's very easy to write or describe or develop a good character. Complex character बड़े आराम से बना सकते हैं. But as far as plot is concerned, Aristotle thinks that a well-constructed plot is a difficult job. That is why he focuses a lot on the plot of the drama, that is the tragedy. ठीक है? अच्छा, Aristotle ने जो previous chapter हमारे गुजरे हैं, उसमें आपको tragedy की evolution के बारे में भी बताया था कि कैसे tragedy evolve हुई थी. So you have to keep that in mind कि पहले plot structure कितना simple था कि सबसे पहले तो इस तरह होता था कि religious festival में to the god Dionysus, who was the god of wine in excess. उसके जो religious festival, उसके जो seasonal festival होते थे, in order to honor the god, there used to be a chorus, a song, dithyrambic lyric उसको कहते थे, and they used to stand in front of the god and they used to sing the song. एक chorus होता था और एक religious figure, priest type चीज होती थी कोई इनकी जो, and he used to they used to communicate with each other in that dithyrambic lyric. So that further moved on, and what happened next was that in the time of another writer, a second character was introduced. ठीक है? A second character और जो priest होता था या chorus होता था उसका dialogue होता था. So it became the center of attention or center of focus. The third thing that happened was when Sophocles added a third actor, and when he added a third actor, he also added the background. So when the background was added and the third character was added, उसके बाद आहिस्ता आहिस्ता उसकी tone serious होती गई tragedy की. And furthermore, what happens that it became episodic. It means कि वो acts में divide होती गई. ठीक है? So this went on and the tragedy evolved. Aristotle का ख्याल था कि उसकी age तक पहुंचने तक tragedy was in its finest form. He didn't say it out loud, but this was what he was implying here. He had also made a comparison between epic poetry and tragedy. He thinks that the two are not much different from each other, but the only difference or the few differences that are there, that tragedy to is ज़्यादा complex होगी. Tragedy is going to have all the components of epic poetry, however epic poetry may not have all the components of a tragedy. Similarly, the epic poetry would focus on an entire lifespan. ठीक है, hero के adventures over a period of year. Generally, what happens in a tragedy is that you focus on one episode, basically, of a hero's life, of the protagonist's life. ठीक है जी. और तीसरी चीज़ जो इनमें different है वो ये है कि जो epic poetry होएगी ना वो it's going to be, both are going to be very lofty, both are going to be grand, both are going to be about, you know, people who are a little above us. But it's different in these two things. Epic poetry जो है वो history की different focus, उस पर focus करेगी, और ये जो है किसी एक particular era पे एक particular चीज़ आपको पूरी story सुना देगी. It's not going to, you know, deal with everything possible. ये कि वो हर चीज़ के bits and pieces आपको नहीं दिखाएगी, वो एक ही चीज़ पे focus करेगी tragedy, and it's going to show you the entire story. Epics में थोड़ा सा different होता है because it's going to deal with eras. So वो different चीज़ों की flashes में आपको different things happening at the same time in different places. That's what epic poetry is going to do for you. अच्छा, फिर इसमें जो एक और इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ आपने याद रखनी है वो है हमाशा की. तो ट्रेजिक फ्लो ऑफ द कैरेक्टर इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. कैरेक्टर जो है ना ये आपने याद रखना है कि एरिस्टोटल बिलीव्स that a character has to be a little superior than us, because a superior character we would feel more for a superior character. And besides, if a character is superior, we're going to have this feeling of pity and fear, which is the main purpose of a tragedy, the sole purpose of tragedy, that it arouses the feeling of pity and fear in you. When it arouses the feeling of pity and fear in you, it's going to cause catharsis, and catharsis is purification and purgation. ठीक है जी. So this is almost sums it up, whatever he has to say about a tragedy. But that's what he does in the next few chapters, that's starting from chapter number 10 to chapter number 22. He's going to focus on different aspects of plot, how complex plot is, what kind of plot is called simple plot, what should be done when anagnorisis, how the best anagnorisis, how the best peripeteia is achieved, how these things are achieved, what should be the text, what should be the techniques used by the writer to have the maximum effect. Aristotle is not telling you that this is how tragedy should be written. What he is trying to tell you is what he has observed already. हमने last time भी ये बात की थी कि Aristotle का focus तो basically जो उसका method है ना, that is what we have to understand. That he is trying to be descriptive here. He is not being prescriptive. He is observing the data, whatever he has read as far as Greek tragedy goes, and he has collected all the data and he is trying to analyze it. And by analyzing it, what he is trying to do is uncover a few of the rules. And by uncovering those rules, he's trying to explain the tragedy as it occurred in his day. Okay? So he's not saying that he likes it, but he's saying that whatever he's telling you, that is what causes the more effect, the most effect. That is the purpose. Now, basically, you're supposed to shock and awe people. You're supposed to, you know, awake them. You're supposed to give them a shock, a jolt, so that they stir up and they sit up and they think about the life. He was a philosopher as well. He has theories about everything as well. He's a little different from Plato, but he's not a moralist as far as this goes. अच्छा जी, फिर हम plot की बात करना शुरू कर रहे थे. We have to focus ourselves on simple and complex plots. What are simple plots and what are complex plots? अच्छा जी, all plots. आपको मैंने previously I think बताया हुआ है कि there is a thing known as unity of plot. Aristotle believes in it very, very strongly. He believes that a plot has to be one unity. He believed in unity of time as well, unity of plot, unity of place, unity of action. All these things were very important for him. But unity of plot is very, very, very important for him. And he says that it means that a plot should move from beginning to end in probable or necessary sequence of events. What does this mean? This means that there has to be sequence. We have discussed the beginning, that every plot or every Greek tragedy should have a beginning, it should have a middle, it should have an end. So the beginning, we have decided already कि beginning से पहले की चीज़ बताने की कोई ख़ास ज़रूरत नहीं है. Beginning should be a clean-cut beginning. Middle is the point where it reaches its climax, and end is the place where you have to conclude whatever has happened so far. ठीक है? So every plot should have a beginning, middle, and end, and it should, the events of the plot should move from beginning towards an end in a probable sequence. और necessary sequence. अब probable sequence और necessary sequence में थोड़ा सा फ़र्क है. Probable sequence ये है कि this is how it could happen, and necessary sequence का मतलब ये है कि this is inevitable. This is how it could. This is the only way it could happen. ठीक है? I mean, if you take the example of Oedipus, because that's the most perfect classical tragedy that we have, Greek tragedy. So Oedipus का जो necessary sequence of event तो नहीं आप इसको कह सकते, लेकिन probability तो थी ना कि he would discover what he has done and he would do something right. drastic. So ये जो है ना कि this plot should move in such a way, it's a necessity. अब इसमें complexity भी है और इसमें simplicity भी हो सकती है. A simple plot does so without peripeteia, or whereas a complex plot involves any one or both peripeteia or anagnorisis. ठीक है. अब I've already told you what peripeteia is. And I've told you that what is anagnorisis. The best kind of peripeteia is followed by anagnorisis. Peripeteia and anagnorisis should be necessary or probable consequence of what came before, so that they are part of the plot. A peripeteia or anagnorisis should not be something that you have added on. ठीक है. इधर उधर से पकड़ के बस आपने just because you think that Aristotle ने कहा है कि there should be a peripeteia, there should be a reversal, and there should be a recognition का process. So if there is a process of recognition which should be followed by the reversal, or there is a reversal as a result of that reversal का process, there is a recognition. ठीक है. Anagnorisis, what is anagnorisis? It is recognition, and peripeteia is the reversal of fortune. So both can follow each other. Either you recognize a fact, a person, or something that has happened in your life which you have forgotten. You either recognize that, and because of recognizing that fact or remembering that fact, there is a reversal in fortune. Or because of the reversal in fortune, you move from bad to good or good to bad. Because of that reversal in your life, you recognize something. So in a complex plot, this is going to happen. There is going to be an anagnorisis and peripeteia. अब इसकी कोई कैद नहीं है कि peripeteia पहले आएगा, कि anagnorisis पहले आएगा, कि anagnorisis पहले होगा या peripeteia बाद में होगा. ये होने चाहिए in order to make things complex, in order to make things more interesting. Because a simple plot तो ये है ना कि एक नेक आदमी था और वो बादशाह बन गया और फिर उसकी बुरे दिन आ गए और वो बादशाह ही से हट गया और फिर वो गरीब आदमी की तरह मर गया. ठीक है. So this is a simple plot. We feel sorry for that poor king, that he was so rich once upon a time and now he's so poor and he's going to die. Fine. That's a simple plot. Complex plot में फिर ये है जैसे कि Oedipus Rex में एक twist डाला गया. ठीक है. और उस twist में यानी कि उस twist को जब उसने recognize किया तो then there was a reversal of fortune. Reversal of fortune तो simple story के case में भी हुआ है, लेकिन reversal of fortune जो इस case में हुआ है, it's followed by peripeteia, so by anagnorisis. So जैसे उसने recognize किया कि his wife is actually his mother, so he is going to kill himself, kill his अपनी आंखें फोड़ लेता है और the drastic changes that occurs in his life. So reversal इस case में भी आता है. तो जो reversal fortune होगा या जो recognition का process है, it should be a probable or necessary consequence, एक sequence में आने चाहिए. ये नहीं होना चाहिए कि out of the blue वो यकदम चलते चलते खाना खाते यकदम ही recognizes something. That won't be anagnorisis. And sometimes he's walking down and suddenly he has reversal of fortune. That everything should make sense. It should not be as simple as anything else. अच्छा जी. Peripeteia, we've already discussed, is reversal from one state of affairs to the opposite. अब इसमें मैंने ये नहीं कहा कि it should be from the good state of affairs to the bad state of affairs. It could be the other way around. It could be from the worst state to the good state. A king could be good and he could turn out to be a bad king, or he could turn out to be misfortunate in the end. Or he could be a good king, he could be a bad king and he turn out to have a good fortune by the end of it. So we don't know what happens, but this would be peripeteia, because something good was happening in the play and it suddenly turned out to be bad. And something bad was happening for one person and it turned out to be good. So some elements in the plot, they affect a reversal. And what are these elements? Let us discuss them in detail. अच्छा, anagnorisis क्या होता है जी? A change from ignorance to knowledge. We have discussed it in detail, I think in the first lecture that we had about Aristotle, that this is, you recognize a fact, you learn a fact. That is a change from ignorance to knowledge. You recognize a long lost friend, you recognize a relative, you discover suddenly something that you have not known for previously. It will bring happiness and love to those who learn of good fortune, and hatred and misery to those who discover unhappy truths. Okay? This is how it should happen in a classic play, in a classic tragedy. That anyone who discovers something good, he should be happy about it. There should be goodness in the play, there should be happy times, everyone celebrating, or something good happening as a result, as a consequence of that anagnorisis. If the anagnorisis is positive, then something good should happen as a result of that anagnorisis. Peripeteia उसमें असूलन पॉजिटिव होना चाहिए. लेकिन इफ द न्यूज इज और द रिकग्निशन प्रोसेस या जो एक्नॉलेजमेंट का प्रोसेस है, ये जो नॉलेज गेन किया है वो नेगेटिव है, तो एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ इट दे शुड बी हेट्रेड एंड दे शुड बी मिजरी, बिकॉज ऑफ कोर्स सम नेगेटिव रिकग्निशन, ऑफ कोर्स उसका कॉज जो होगा अगर गलत है तो उससे जो न्यूज जनरेट होगी वो भी, या रिवर्सल जो जनरेट होगा वो भी कोई इतना अच्छा नहीं होगा. Okay. Aristotle suggests that anagnosis is possible by a number of other means as well. How? The two together will help to arouse pity and fear and will also help to show the play to its conclusion. Anagnorisis और किस तरह हो सकता है? Anagnorisis जो है ना, या तो ये कि faulty reasoning पे डिपेंड करेगा कि suddenly you deduce it, ठीक है, by reasoning, or you recognize it on the basis of some sign or something on the body. That according to Aristotle is the worst kind of it. The best kind of anagnosis according to Aristotle is the one where you deduce it. You remember something or you see something, some sign happens or something happens and you suddenly realize that this is the person. You deduce it logically. This is the best kind. There is another kind of anagnosis which happens when you, there's a faulty kind of reasoning on the part of the person and he reveals himself, and as a result of that revealing of himself or what he is originally, तो उस तरह भी वो कैरेक्टर का डाउनफॉल स्टार्ट हो जाता है, ठीक है. या फिर एनाग्नोसिस ऐसे होता है कि वो कैरेक्टर जो है वो कोई ऐसी बात कह देता है जिसकी वजह से उसकी जो है ना रिकग्निशन हो जाती है. पीपल अंडरस्टैंड हु ही रियली इज, समथिंग दैट ही इज नॉट सपोज्ड टू नो. If he's not that person, if he's trying to pose as someone else and he reveals a piece of information that he does not know already, then he's going to be recognized because of that piece of information. So there are different ways of these recognition and these knowledges. So the two together, that is peripeteia and anagnosis, they help the play to reach its conclusion. It's going to help the play to reach a place where it is, it achieves its purpose of arousing the fear and the pity in the audience, and trying to make people feel, experience catharsis. In addition to anagnosis and peripeteia, Aristotle also believes that there should be an addition of suffering as well. अब suffering के actions जो होते हैं वो cause करेंगे, it could be caused by destruction, it could be caused by painful nature, and they could be of painful nature because murder होगा या torture होगा या wounding होगी, ये सारी चीज़ें जो होंगी they're going to be destructive in nature, they're going to cause harm to people. अब जितने plays हमने आज तक पढ़े होंगे, classical tragedy में भी पढ़े हैं, Shakespeare के plays, even in modern tragedy, all of them are about suffering. Somehow human beings, they react quite well to suffering. So because they react well to suffering, so it's generally a good topic to add, because किसी तरह अगर हीरो सफ़र कर रहा है या हीरो की माँ सफ़र कर रही है या someone else on the play is suffering, we somehow atone ourselves with them, somehow try to identify ourselves with them. So it's good to add suffering, but Aristotle says that it is good to avoid extreme measures like murder and torture and wounding, though this is a very popular technique used by the writers in most of the plays, like in Oedipus Rex, like in Hamlet, like in Macbeth. जब suffering add होती है through these things, it always causes destruction and it's always painful. So this is one more thing, and this also aids to peripeteia and anagnosis. We were discussing quantitative elements of tragedy. So the quantitative elements of tragedy are prologue, episode, exode, choral portion involves parode and specimen. In addition to some tragedies have songs from the stage and a chorus, a lamentation sung by both actor and the chorus. ठीक है, ये वो elements हैं जो कि आप कभी भी play खोलोगे तो आपको नजर आएंगे कि हमेशा एक play का एक prologue होगा, एक episode होगी, एक exode होगा, एक chorus की song होगी. ये सारी चीजें एक play में होती हैं. Let us explain them in addition. Parode is the first full statement of the chorus. जो play का open होता है जब ना, तो जो background होता है ना वो आपको chorus देता है. It's in the form of a song. It's ये चीज Aristotle believes very strongly that you should always treat the chorus as an actor. It should always, whatever the chorus has to say, it should be treated as a dialogue. It should contribute towards the plot of the play. It is very important to think like this. It's very important to consider whatever the chorus has to say. ठीक है? So prologue is everything that precedes parode. ठीक है? जैसे आपने जो chorus statement दे दी, उसके बाद जो कुछ play में हो रहा है, that is prologue. And stasimon is a choral song sung in a certain meter, while action takes place between choral songs as episode. Episode is basically what is the play. Act, जिसको आप अब आजकल modern language में कहते हैं, ठीक है? जब play जो है वो start हो गया तो सबसे पहले choral song आया. कोरल सॉन्ग के बाद प्रोलोग आया, प्रोलोग के बाद जो एक्शन है ना दैट इज एपिसोड, एपिसोड्स और अगले एपिसोड के दरमियान में जो कोरल सॉन्ग है ना उसको स्टेसिमन कहते हैं। ये खास मीटर में गाया जाता है। जनरली ट्रेजेडी का जो मीटर होता है ये आयम्बिक मीटर होता है, जबकि एपिक पोएट्री का जो मीटर होता है ना ये हीरोइक मीटर होता है। अच्छा, एक्सोड होता है, एवरीथिंग दैट फॉलोज द लास्ट कोरल सॉन्ग इज एक्सोड। जब एंड आने लगता है, जब क्लाइमेक्स रीच हो रहा होता है, तो तब फाइनली जो कोरस है ना it gives a song, it यानी कि वो अपनी, it highlights whatever is happening in the play, it highlights the tragedy, it highlights the thing that is happening in the play, it highlights the catharsis, it highlights whatever is happening in the life of the hero, it highlights the downfall, it you know, it gives you the mood of the play, it tells you कि something bad is about to happen, it enhances the misery, it enhances the feeling of pity, it enhances the feeling of fear, it enhances your feeling, it motivates you to cry, that last song that the chorus sings. Acha ji. Now he says, what are the best kinds of plots? The best plot, of course, should arouse pity and fear. The three kinds of plots should be avoided. A good man going from happiness to misery, that won't do, ठीक है? You don't feel good after this. You feel revengeful. You feel bitter. You feel like you want to ask God, why God, why? Why did you do this? This won't arise pity and fear in your heart. It would just make you bitter, and you know you'll just nag and you'll just complain. Why does this happen? You won't identify with something like that. Even if you have seen this happening in real life, even if you have seen people going from misery, from happiness to misery, a good person going from happiness to misery, even if in life you have seen good people suffering, even then you want something good to happen on stage. In literature you want things, you want poetic justice. So a good person going from happiness to misery, it does not satisfy your senses, it does not arise pity and fear, it would not grant you the catharsis which is the sole purpose of the tragedy. Okay? A bad man going from misery to happiness, that would also be very unfair, don't you think so? Because if a man who's not good, a man who's corrupt, if he does this, if he is bad, if he's behaving badly, if he's behaving unjustly, if he's being rude to people, if he's being cruel to people, and he becomes happy, he gains power, he becomes rich, because this is what we think of being happy. This is our criteria of being happy, you know, having good fortune in this world, at least. This is what we think being happy is. So if he is a bad person and he's been miserable throughout his life, and suddenly there is a process of anagnorisis, or there is a process of peripeteia, and as a result of that process he has good fortune, we do not like it. We feel angry at this. We don't even feel bitter, and there is no question of, you know, having pity and fear. We just feel outrightly angry that this should not have happened. A bad man going from happiness and misery. Acha ji, bad man going from happiness to misery, no, we don't feel sorry for him, because this is what should happen to bad people. Okay? This would also not release pity and fear in our bodies, in our emotions, in our soul. No, we don't feel bad, we don't feel pity for him, we don't, you know, we are not fearful of our fate like this. Of course he was bad, he was the one who killed someone else, he should suffer. So if a person who's bad, he goes from misery, from happiness to misery, this is poetic justice. Isn't this what we wanted in the first place? Poetic justice happening, and if this happens, okay, good enough, this should happen to this person. Okay. The best kind of plot involves the misfortune of someone who's neither good nor bad, and the downfall is caused not from some unpleasantness or vice versa, but rather from hamasha. This is what Aristotle thinks is the best plot of tragedy. The person is not good, he's not bad, he's just merely human. That's what all human beings are, aren't they? They are neither good nor bad. When we're all grey, you know, we're not black and white, we're not you know, black, we're not white, we're just different. We're a combination of faults and good deeds. So if a person who's neither bad nor good, and he's, you know, trying his best to be good, and he has some faults, but he falls, and he falls from happiness to misery, and the result is, it's not because of some intervention from the gods. Of course fate plays a part, of course there's certain outside factors involved, of course there is going to be some, you know, ecclesiastical machinery involved, but the misery is basically because of hamartia, and we've already discussed what is hamartia. Hamartia is the tragic flaw of that person, that one thing that he did, the one thing he didn't do, something that he did knowingly, something that he did unknowingly, something that he knew that he was going to do, or something that he did without knowing that what is going to be the consequence. So this is the best kind of plot. It should, the sole purpose, of course, I've already told you several times, the sole purpose of the tragedy would be to make the feeling of pity and fear rise. So if it's not doing that, because of the several reasons we have already discussed, then it won't be a good plot according to Aristotle. So the best plot would be where there would be a person who's be normal, who'd be like us, that is both good and bad, and he falls from happiness to misery as a result of some fault of his own, some personality flaw, some tragic flaw. Then that's going to be the best plot. The best plot which is going to arouse pity and fear in the hearts of the people watching it. So elements of a good plot. अच्छा जी, पहली चीज़, it must focus around a single issue. What does this mean? Do not go for 2-3 stories at the same time. That's not a good plot. That's not a good play. ठीक है? Shakespeare के plays which में 2 stories side by side चल रही होती हैं, they're not considered good plays. So there should be story of one person. या एक family की भी अगर story है तो वो एक family ही की story होनी चाहिए और वो एक ही issue पे focus होनी चाहिए. Let's say कि if they're focused on, you know, inheriting a country or a kingdom as a result of the death of the father, this should be the entire story. There shouldn't be any, you know, epilogues and side logs, and you know there shouldn't be any parallels drawn at the same time of a you know kingdom that's next to them and the prince, something happening to the princess in that play. So जो play होना उसमें एक ही चीज़ की बात होनी चाहिए. अगर तो वो विरासत का झगड़ा चल रहा है तो फिर वो विरासत के झगड़े पे ही फोकस रहे, ठीक है. अगर तो किसी शहजादे की या किसी बादशाह की जुल्म की कहानी है तो it should be focused on that zulm only. It should not focus on the, you know, love affair that the king is having. It should focus, or the king's men is having. So just focus on one issue. So the best plot would be that if it focus on a single issue. The hero must go from fortune to misfortune rather than vice versa. अच्छा, ठीक है, मिस फॉर्चून से फॉर्चून की तरफ भी जा सकते हैं, लेकिन बेहतर होगा कि आप फॉर्चून से मिस फॉर्चून की तरफ जाएं, बिकॉज अगेन द सेम थिंग आई हैव ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू दैट इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट टू गिव राइज टू द फीलिंग ऑफ पिटी एंड फेयर, एंड दैट वुड ओनली अराइज if you are telling that person that he was very rich, he was very good, he was noble, he had such a beautiful house, he had such beautiful furniture to sleep in, to sit on, he had so much food to eat, and he had a family, a house full of laughter and happiness, and suddenly he finds that he cannot have that anymore because of some fault of his own. He does something, and as a result of that, doing that something, everything comes to an end. So this is important, that you focus on the sequence of events such that they move from fortune to misfortune. अच्छा, तीसरी इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ जो एक अच्छे प्लॉट में होनी चाहिए वो ये है कि द रिवर्सल और द रिवर्सल ऑफ फॉर्चून जो है, it should always start because of, it should always be the result of the hamartia. Hamartia मैंने आपको already बताया है कि it's the tragic flaw. It should be the hero's own fault of his personality. अब it is not necessary कि वो बहुत बड़ी moral flaw हो, ठीक है. It could be anything. It's not that the hero has to be a drunkard, or he should be a thief, or he should be a murderer. No, it's not necessary. It could be anything, something that he did do, something he did not do, something that he forgot to do, something that he remembered to do, something that he did but he had no bad intentions, something, it's, you know, so many things, it's so many elements involved, but the action has to be the hero's action. वो उसने कुछ किया होगा या कुछ नहीं किया होगा, या कुछ करना भूल गया होगा, या कुछ जानबूझ के किया होगा, या कुछ जानबूझ के नहीं किया होगा, कुछ भी हो सकता है, पर वो एक्शन जो है वो इस हीरो का एक्शन होना चाहिए, ठीक है. अच्छा, द हीरो शुड बी ऑफ इंटरमीडिएट वर्थ. व्हाट डज दिस मीन कि उसने इंटर किया हो? नहीं, इसका मतलब ये है कि वो हीरो जो है को बहुत आला पाई की चीज़ नहीं होनी चाहिए. मॉरली, वी टॉकिंग अबाउट मॉरल्स है. ही शुड नॉट बी अ सेंट, नाइदर ही शुड बी अ डेविल फॉर दैट मैटर, ठीक है. ही शुड बी अ पर्सन लाइक अस. ही शुड हैव गुड क्वालिटीज एंड ही शुड हैव बैड क्वालिटीज. अगर वो 4 दफ़ा नमाज पढ़ते तो फजर की नमाज पढ़ना भूल भी जाता है बिकॉज ही लाइक्स टू स्लीप. सो ही शुड बी दैट काइंड ऑफ पर्सन. अ पर्सन हु इज लाइक, यू नो, ऑफरिंग प्रेयर्स 5 times a day, and you know, who's doing tahajjud as well. You don't identify it with the tragic play, but I'm trying to explain what kind of a person hero should be here in this case, ठीक है. और वो नमाज पढ़ता है, तस्बीह भी पकड़ता है, दाढ़ी भी रखी हुई है, and he's, you know, the picture of piousness. You won't identify yourself with that kind of a person. But on the other hand, if a person, he says 3 prayers a day, he forgets to pray one, and he watches TV and he listens to songs and he goes out, but he's nice as well and he's neck as well, then you're going to identify with that kind of a person, ठीक है ना? So he should be that kind of a person, you know, in between, not, you know, extremely pious or extremely bad. Actually, the second-rate plots would focus on double issue, whereas good fare well and the bad fare poorly. अच्छा जी, एक तो वही चीज़ जो हमने शुरू में डिस्कस की है कि प्लॉट जो है ना, इट शुड बी फोकस्ड ऑन सिंगल. इसमें जो आम प्लॉट होगा ना, किसी आम राइटर ने लिखा हुआ है, रेगुलर, इट शुड बी रेगुलर प्लॉट जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ इट, यानी कि फॉर द सेक ऑफ कमर्शियल सक्सेस अगर लिखा गया तो उसमें ये होगा. या ऐसे ऑडियंस के लिए लिखा गया है जिनका बहुत इंटेलेक्चुअल लेवल हाई नहीं है, उनके लिए जो प्ले लिखा जाएगा उसमें ये ज़रूर होगा कि देयर इज़ गोइंग टू बी अ डबल इशू, जिसमें एक जो अच्छा कैरेक्टर होगा ना, वो जो है उसका आखिर में फ़ायदा हो जाएगा, सारे उस प्ले में सफ़र करेगा, लेकिन आखिर में ही इज़ गोइंग टू बी सक्सेसफुल, एंड जो बैड कैरेक्टर होगा ना उसका डाउनफॉल होगा. दिस इज़ व्हाट इज़ हैपनिंग इन द प्लेज वी सी ऑन PTV एंड ऑल दीज चैनल्स दैट आर देयर ऑन द केबल TV. ठीक है, इन सारे ड्रामों में, ये जो खासतौर पर जो औरतों के लिए चल रहे हैं, इन सारे ड्रामों में एक अच्छी बहन है और एक बुरी बहन है, और अच्छी बहन जो है सारे प्ले में सफ़र करती रहेगी, आखिर में सच का बोलबाला होगा, और जो बुरी बहन होगी वो जो है सफ़र करेगी. तो ये mediocre plots हैं, ये आम plots हैं. Aristotle is not talking about these plots. He does not favor them. He considered them to be mediocre, and he's not talking about mediocrity here. He's talking about the best of the best. अच्छा जी, pleasures of tragedy क्या हैं जी, जो very important बात है कि pity and fear, they're the pleasures of tragedy. Why would you want to watch a tragedy? We want to watch a tragedy because it's going to provide us with pleasure of tragedy. And what is the pleasure? It's going to give you pity and it's going to give you fear. और हम ये realize नहीं करते because we want to be happy, we want to watch a comedy movie because we want to laugh, we do not want to think. But the best pleasure that you get is out of a tragedy. Why? Because when you watch a tragic movie, you have the best possible 1.5 or 2 hours. You cry, you feel light after it. ठीक है? That is why tragedies are so famous. That is why tragic novels or tragic plays, they became such great instant bestsellers, and they generally ट्रेजेडीज होती हैं जो क्लासिक्स के लेवल पे जाते हैं. आई हैव रियली हर्ड ऑफ अ कॉमेडी बीइंग अ क्लासिक. ठीक है, चार्ली चैपलिन आपको हंसा जरूर आया है, लेकिन ही इज नॉट अ क्लासिक एनीमोर. 3 स्टूजेस हो गए, लॉरेन एंड हार्डी हो गए, यू फाइंड देम, ये दे नाइस, लेकिन अगर आप नोट करो तो उसके अंदर एक ट्रेजेडी का एलिमेंट चल रहा होता है. दिस इज एन अंडरटोन. You do not realize it at that time unless and until you look at it critically. And when you look at it critically, there is an element of tragedy going on there as well. So it's the tragic element which is their appeal. इसी तरह किसी किस्म की भी कॉमेडी जो होती है वो उतनी ज़्यादा इन्फ्लुएंसिंग नहीं होती जितनी ट्रेजेडी होती है, because it's going to make you feel sorry for them, make you feel sorry for yourself, and you'll be fearful. You'll cling to your relations a little more because you think that something bad might happen, just like it happened to the hero of this play. So this is the pleasure that you're going to get out of it. Human beings, I think by nature are sadists. They like this torture, they like this. Everyone, I have known a few people in my life, and I believe all of them, they love to wallow in self-pity. They like to feel sorry for themselves. So this is what I think what tragedy is all about here. They should be aroused by the plot and not the spectacle. अच्छा जी, अब यहाँ पे राइटर का कमाल ये है कि he should have written the plot so well, it should be so well crafted that things should happen in a probable necessary sequence of events, and the sequence of events should be that it gives rise to pity and fear, जो आपका sole purpose, जो pleasure था आपकी tragedy का. It should not be a part of the spectacle. You should not be scared of the spectacle. Spectacle मैंने आपको already explain किया था ना, it's the extraordinary things that are present on the stage. जो drama create किया जा रहा है आपके लिए, जो set design है, जो costumes हैं, जो backgrounds हैं. अब ये इतनी movies होती हैं, horror movies होती हैं, अगर आप इनको देखो तो इनमें जो horror का element है ना, वो spectacle से create किया जाता है generally. ठीक है, कुछ हॉरर मूवीज होती हैं जो थोड़ी सी अच्छी क्लास की होती हैं, दे सजेस्टिव, बट जो 3rd grade मूवीज होती हैं, हॉरर मूवीज होती हैं, दे फोकस ऑन स्पेक्टिकल. ठीक है, दे ट्राई टू राइज, दे मेक यू फ्राइटन बिकॉज ऑफ द स्पेक्टिकल. अजीब अजीब शक्लों के मॉन्स्टर्स, फ्रेडी क्रूगर आ जाएगा, ही डज लुक्स अगली एंड ही जंप्स एट यू. तो these things, these are spectacles. So Aristotle says that the best kind of tragedy would arouse pity and fear by the plot, ठीक है. इवेंट्स इस तरह होनी चाहिए, कैरेक्टर का इस तरह का आउटलुक होनी चाहिए, इस तरह की पर्सनैलिटी होनी चाहिए कि इट गिव्स राइज टू पिटी एंड फेयर. इट शुड नॉट बी बिकॉज ऑफ वट एवर हैपन्स इन द ऑन द स्टेज. इट शुड नॉट बी द कैरेक्टर का गेटअप. इट शुड नॉट बी सेटन फ्लाइंग आउट और डेविल फ्लाइंग आउट और जिन आ गया या भूत आ गया और खौफनाक शक्लों वाली चीज़ें आके स्टेज पे खड़ी हो गई. इन चीज़ों की वजह से पिटी एंड फेयर नहीं आना चाहिए, ठीक है. खौफनाक शक्लों से ये मत समझिएगा कि फेयर सिर्फ इसी तरह आ सकते हैं. डर जो बैठे इंसान के दिल में जागे वो इन चीज़ों की वजह से नहीं होना चाहिए. दे आर आउटसाइड फैक्टर्स. दे शुड अफेक्ट द प्ले. उसकी इन्हांस जरूर करेगा वो वैल्यू, बट दे शुड नॉट बी द मेन रीजन फॉर अराउजिंग पिटी एंड फेयर, ठीक है. The poet who relies on spectacle is relying on outside help, whereas the poet who relies only on his plot is fully responsible for his creation. ठीक है. आप इसका मतलब ये है कि आप एक डायरेक्टर के हाथ में अपनी क्रिएशन को छोड़ देंगे कि हाँ जी आप कर लें एक्सप्लॉइट. I don't think what I have written is strong enough, so you need to have something added to it in order to make it more powerful. So a real creative artist would never do that. He would have so much confidence in his creation, in whatever he has written, that he would focus on it as well. It would be so well constructed that it would not need help from the outside. ठीक है. जो अच्छी पोइट्री लिखी होगी या अच्छा ड्रामा लिखा होगा वो अगर आप घर में बैठ के ऊंची आवाज में पढ़ेंगे, even then it would be effective. होता क्या है कि if you're a good writer, if you're a good poet, your poetry without acting should be your poetry or the in this case poetry ही आप सब चीज़ों को समझें. जो भी आप लिख रहे हैं वो सब पोइट्री के हेडिंग में आ रहा है, ठीक है. चाहे वो ड्रामा पढ़ रहे हैं, ट्रेजेडी पढ़ रहे हैं, एपिक पोइट्री पढ़ रहे हैं. तो इन दिस केस एरिस्टोटल बिलीव्स कि if the poet is good, इसको जज करने के लिए कि आपका प्लॉट कितना स्ट्रांग है, is it giving rise to pity and fear, do what you have to do, that you read it out loud. If you read it out loud and it affects you without the acting, ठीक है, आप एक्टिंग नहीं किसी को करते हुए देख रहे, लेकिन फिर भी आप पे उसी तरह इफेक्ट हो रहा है, you feel the pity and the fear for the characters of the play, then you have done a good job. If it does not happen, then it needs spectacle, and if it needs spectacle, it's not that big, it's not that good a creation. I hope you got my point. What I mean here is that a plot should give rise to pity and fear, and in order to do that, the plot should be so well constructed that it should not need spectacle for it. The character and the story and the sequence of events should give rise to pity and fear and should not depend upon whatever the stage design is, whatever the set design is, whatever the background is, or whatever the costumes or the makeup of the artist look like. अच्छा, एक और चीज which you have to focus on is pity. Now, what is pity? When do you feel pity for someone? We feel pity most when family and friends they harm each other. ठीक है, सबसे ज़्यादा दुख तो तभी होगा ना when your sister tells you something bad against you, do something bad against you. जब भाई भाई का हिस्सा मार लेगा, भाई भाई को मार देगा. Even today when you see in newspapers, सबसे ज़्यादा shocking news वही लगती है ना कि बेटे ने माँ को मार दिया या बेटे ने बाप को मार दिया. So it gives you such a horrible Oedipus Rexley feeling, ठीक है. आप अभी भी अगर थोड़ा सा अच्छे न्यूज़पेपर्स पढ़ें तो उनमें जब इस तरह की न्यूज़ होती है तो उसके साथ ना ये लिखा होता है अक्सर जगह पे कि ग्रीक ट्रेजेडी हैपनिंग. सो ग्रीक ट्रेजेडी की इस वजह से मशहूर है बिकॉज अरिस्टोटल इसीलिए इसको फोकस किया यहाँ पे कि पिटी सबसे ज़्यादा फील ही तब करते हैं जब इट इज़ हैपनिंग विद इन द फैमिली, ठीक है. यू कैन डू इट नोइंगली और यू कैन डू इट अननोइंगली. मिडास ने अपने सारे बच्चे मार दिए थे, ठीक है. यू अंडरस्टैंड द स्टोरी ऑफ मिडास, द पर्सन who makes everything gold by touching it. He killed all of his children. He did it knowingly. He knew that this was going to happen. When he touched them, they were going to become gold. And Oedipus Rex, he killed his father unknowingly because he didn't know that it was his father. उसने तो एक और अपने दुश्मन बादशाह को मारा था, ठीक है. We feel pity most when family or friends harm each other, rather when enemies are in this situation, people who are indifferent to each other. You know that it's a common phenomena. You read of 25 people dying in a suicide bombing in Peshawar. You read the news, you said, oh, that's sad, and that's it. You forget about it by the time an hour or so has passed. You don't remember it. सुबह आपने धमाके की खबर सुनी थी, रात तक आपको भूला होता है, आप किसी रेस्टोरेंट में आराम से बैठ के खाना खा रहे थे. अगर यही आपके कहीं जानने वाले में होते, आपके घर के पास हुआ होता या आपके फैमिली मेंबर्स इसमें इन्वॉल्व होते, would you have forgotten it? No. So the connection, of course, it helps in making you feel sorry. So if the tragedy is happening within the family or with people who know each other or love each other, they harm each other, सबसे ज़्यादा पिटी की फीलिंग तब अराइज होगी. The deed may be done knowingly or unknowingly. I've already told you that Oedipus did it unknowingly, Midas did it knowingly. It hardly makes a difference. Unknowingly वो करेगा तो आप कहेंगे उफ बेचारा इसको पता ही नहीं था ये इसका बाप है इसने मार दिया. एंड अगर knowingly तो आप कहेंगे कितना फजूल आदमी है ये अपने बाप को मारे जा रहा है अपने बच्चे मार दिए इसने सारे. अब यानी कि एक बंदे ने जब अपने सारे बच्चों को मार दिया तो आप उसके बारे में यही कहेंगे ना कि उफ ये कितना फजूल आदमी है. लेकिन अगर उसने अननोइंगली किया उसको पता ही नहीं था उसने ये कर दिया तो यू अबहॉर द थॉट ऑफ किलिंग समवन्स चिल्ड्रन बट इवन देन यू से कि यार इसको तो बेचारे को पता ही नहीं था उसने अनजाने में अपने साथ कितनी बड़ी ट्रेजेडी कर दी. A third situation is when a character plans to kill another character but then discovers the family collection and refrain from doing so. ये वो है कि जी आप उसको मारने जा रहे थे आपने पूरा प्लान बना लिया that you're going to kill that person but suddenly because that's the best thing about the Greek tragedies that you get letters and notes or things get side track हो जाती हैं किसी का letter किसी के हाथ में चला जाता है. It continued in classical tragedy in novels as well. कोई लेटर होता है जो which is not intended for someone else and someone else reads it. It's a note, something written in a diary and suddenly he realizes कि ओह ये तो अपना मेरा भाई है इसको मैं मारने जा रहा था तो he's going to stop from doing that. So that's according to Aristotle the best kind. I don't know. I don't agree with him. I hope you don't either. The best kind of plot is the third alternative. The second best case is when the deed is done in ignorance and so on. इसी तरह पीछे जाते जाएं. अगर वो knowingly कर रहे तो वो second best वो यानी कि वो ठीक है okay. और जो सबसे पहली kind की थी वो तो बिल्कुल ही फजूल थी. The worst case is where there is full knowledge and the deed is only refrained from at the moment of action. That according to Aristotle is the worst kind. And why is it refrained? Because इसकी different reasons हो सकती हैं. It could be a divine intervention, that is an intervention from the gods, or it could be an intervention of fate. It could be an intervention on the base that the character who's trying to kill someone else is a coward and he could not carry on. Character weak था, उतना बहादुर नहीं था, नहीं कर सका, उसको पकड़ लिया गया. तो ये एरिस्टोटल के ख्याल में इतना अच्छा प्लॉट नहीं होगा. अब क्वेश्चन यहाँ पे राइज होता है कि क्यों अच्छा प्लॉट नहीं, एक बंदा मरने से बच गया है. व्हाई वुड यू से दैट दिस इज नॉट अ गुड प्लॉट? दिस इज नॉट अ गुड प्लॉट बिकॉज the purpose of tragedy would die at this, because the purpose of tragedy was to make you feel pity and fear. अब जब वो बंदा मरने से ही बच जाएगा तो what would you feel pity at the killer that he could not carry out his plan? I hardly doubt that, because you're going to be relieved that Allah का शुक्र है इसको मार नहीं सका. So this is according to Aristotle the worst kind of plot. So the best kind of plot would be the one where there is something the character is trying to kill another character and he's just about to do so when he's going to discover a family collection, and as a result of that family connection he's going to refrain from killing that other character. अच्छा जी. कैरेक्टर्स ऑफ अ ट्रैजिक हीरो. अब यहाँ पे कैरेक्टर ऑफ द ट्रैजिक हीरो का क्या मतलब है जी कि क्या कैरेक्टर होना चाहिए ट्रैजिक हीरो का, कि वो कितना अच्छा होना चाहिए, कितना नेक होना चाहिए, कितना पारसा होना चाहिए. नो, देयर आर 4 रिक्वायरमेंट्स. नंबर 1, the character of the hero denotes the moral purpose of the play. So the good character will have a good moral purpose. ठीक है. Of Aristotle, we might say that he does not believe in morality, but of course he cannot ignore it outrightly. He cannot make a very bad person, an evil person, the protagonist of the play. Okay? So whatever is the character of the protagonist is going to be the character of the play. ठीक है. अगर वो नेक आदमी के बारे में है ना तो मोरालिटी भी उसी नेक आदमी की एक्शन से होगी. इफ ही इज अ गुड पर्सन, इफ ही इज अ मोरल पर्सन, वट एवर इज गोइंग टू बी डू ऑन द स्टेज वुड बी मोरल एंड दैट वुड बी द मोरालिटी ऑफ द प्ले. ठीक है. मोरालिटी अलग से प्रीच करने की जरूरत नहीं होगी. इट वुड बी ओनली दैट पार्ट ऑफ द प्ले विच इज being carried out by that actor. So the morality of the character can affect the moral lesson of the play. Number 2, the good qualities of the hero must be appropriate to the character. अच्छा, ये बड़ी ट्रिकी सी बात है. यू हैव टू कीप दैट इन माइंड कि जो कैरेक्टर है ना वो उसकी क्वालिटीज है ना उसके साथ होनी चाहिए. यानी कि एक औरत अगर अच्छी जंगजू है, इफ शी इज गुड इन वॉर क्राफ्ट, That's not a good quality in a woman. You don't need a woman to be good in warcraft. So you have to keep in mind the character. If he's a man, he should have this kind of good qualities, and if she's a woman, she should have this kind of good qualities. You should keep in mind, not you, because you're not going to write a classical Greek tragedy, but whoever is writing Greek tragedy, it should be, उसको जब analyze करें तो आपने उसको analyze करने के लिए ज़रूर देखना है कि जो character create किया गया है उसकी qualities, उस character के हिसाब are they good qualities or are they not? The hero must be realistic. Acha, even if you're borrowing from the myths, from the mythology, that is Greek mythology, you should keep in mind that these characters फिर उससे मिलते हों, लेकिन उतने सुपर ह्यूमन ना हो जाएं कि आप उनके साथ आइडेंटिफाई भी ना कर सकें. They should have certain god like traits. If you're borrowing from a god, जैसे अगर आप फर्ज करें Achilles के बारे में लिख रहे हैं, तो it should have the resemblance. You should feel the resemblance, but it should not be that superhuman कि आप उसके साथ आइडेंटिफाई ही ना कर सकें. The hero should be consistent. अच्छा जी, अब हीरो शुड बी कंसिस्टेंट का क्या मतलब है कि जो उसकी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होनी चाहिए, दे शुड कंटिन्यू टू बी सो थ्रू आउट द प्ले. इट शुड नॉट बी कि शुरू में तो वो बहुत नेक, शुरू में तो बहुत बदमाश था, एकदम वो नेक हो जाएगा. नो, द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक, ही शुड बी कंसिस्टेंट. इफ ही इज इनकंसिस्टेंट, ही शुड बी इनकंसिस्टेंट कंसिस्टेंटली थ्रू आउट द प्ले. इफ ही इज अ लायर, ही शुड बी अ लायर. इफ ही इज अ प्राउड मैन, ही शुड बी अ प्राउड मैन. इवन इफ ही इज ट्राइंग टू overcome these faults, this should be done consistently. Okay, there is a process of trying to control his weaknesses, and there is a consistent struggle throughout the play. So there should be an element of consistency involved as well. In order to reconcile the first and the third, the distinctive characteristics should be touched up. यानी कि ये दो चीज़ें जो है ना, जो अच्छी characteristics होंगी ना, फिर आपको उनको थोड़ा सा enhance करना पड़ेगा. यानी कि आपको character के moral purpose बनाने के लिए और realistic बनाने के लिए, अगर वो realistic भी है और वो morally good भी है, तो आपको इन दोनों चीज़ों का आपस में मिलाना पड़ेगा. अच्छा जी, हमने डिस्कस की हुई है लूसिस पहले भी. लूसिस इज द अनटाइंग ऑफ थिंग्स आफ्टर क्लाइमेक्स. जब चीज़ें आहिस्ता आहिस्ता बिखरना शुरू हो जाएंगी, तो अकॉर्डिंग टू एरिस्टोटल इट शुड rise out of plot and not depend on stage artifice. अब स्टेज वही बात है स्पेक्टिकल वाली कि पिटी एंड फेयर जो है, इट शुड नॉट अराइज फ्रॉम स्पेक्टिकल. सिमिलरली लूसिस शुड ऑल्सो डिपेंड ऑन प्लॉट. सीक्वेंस ऑफ इवेंट्स ऐसा होना चाहिए कि चीज़ें जो हैं वो डिसइंटीग्रेट होना शुरू हो जाएं. चीज़ें डिसइंटीग्रेट हो रही हैं तो इट शुड बी बिकॉज ऑफ द स्टोरी, बिकॉज ऑफ द इवेंट्स मूव सो दैट देयर आफ्टर क्लाइमेक्स देयर इज अ disintegration going on, there's a downfall going on. It should not depend upon things present on the stage. It should not depend upon the angel or the ecclesiastical machinery. It should not depend upon the gods. It should not depend upon fates. It should not depend upon extra help, outside help. It should only be dependent on the plot, the story. Both the character and the plot ought to follow a probable or necessary sequence, so that Lucius should be a part of that sequence. वही बात है जो हम हर दफ़ा डिस्कस कर रहे हैं हर चीज़ के context में, कि there should be a probable sequence of events, a necessary sequence of events. The characters and the events should be so constructed, should move in such a way that they reach a certain climax. And as a result of that climax, this Lucius is inevitable. यानी कि आपके पास option ही कोई ना हो कि this is what is going to happen. This is how it's going to be. Improbable events, intervention of gods should be reserved. ठीक है, I've already told you that in order to have a perfect Lucius, which should arise from the plot, ये जो extra elements हैं ना, जो outside elements हैं, जो supernatural elements हैं, इनको थोड़ा सा रोक के रखना चाहिए. आप नहीं कह रहे कि it should not be there. It would be there because Greeks के लिए classical tragedy में gods की intervention बहुत ज़्यादा है. Even Shakespeare has to use these ghosts, and he also used, जैसे Hamlet को अपने king का ghost नजर आता, अपने बाप का ghost नजर आता था, उसके साथ बात भी करने की कोशिश करता है. जैसे मकबेथ को 3 विचेस नजर आती थी, मकबेथ ने 3 विचेस से बात भी की थी. ये एलिमेंट्स हैं देयर, ठीक है, they are there, but you have to reserve them. You do not have to depend on them for climax के आगे की disintegration के लिए. You can't, for Lucius you can't depend on them. The actual incident should not rely on miracles, but as probability and necessity. ठीक है? Because what happens is that when something miraculous happens or something that is by divine intervention, you feel so trapped. आपको लगता है कि ये तो चीज़ हम इस बंदे के कंट्रोल से बाहर थे. He could not have done it. ठीक है, आपको अच्छा तब लगेगा, according to Aristotle, जब गलती उस इंसान की होगी, as a result of that mistake that he has made, as a result of that tragic flaw, this disintegration starts. As a result of that tragic flaw, this downfall starts. So it should not be because of the miracles, it should not be the divine intervention, but it should be the probability कि चूंकि उसने इस तरह किया था, चूंकि उसने कत्ल किया था, चूंकि he slept with his mother, चूंकि he killed the king, this is why, because he was indecisive, the probability है, या of course ये होना है कि this is the end of the play. Do you get it? This is how the things are disintegrating because of the things that he has done before. उसके actions की वजह से ये चीज़ हो रही है. You should be able to do, you should be able to see that. That will be the best kind of lusus. अच्छा, 16th और 18th chapter में Aristotle completely focus कर रहे हैं anagnorisis पे. So he says there's 6 different kinds of anagnorisis. Recognition by signs or marks. ठीक है. यहाँ पे तिल का निशान था, सर के पीछे रेड रंग का निशान था, या बाजू के ऊपर एक जलने का निशान था. अब देखें, चेक करें, अच्छा हाँ ये तो मेरा भाई है. ठीक है. This is according to Aristotle the worst kind. I mean it gives you nothing. It's just coincidence. और ये बात तो हम अभी डिस्कस करके हटें कि coincidence, miraculous happenings, things happening because of fate, ये कोई खास कमाल की बात नहीं है. So this should be avoided. Recognition contrived by the author. ठीक है. अब अगर राइटर कोशिश कर रहा है कि यहाँ से ए को पकड़ के जेड के साथ मिला दे, तो दैट्स नो बिग डील एज वेल. ठीक है. प्रॉब्लम यहाँ पे एरिस्टोटल के साथ ये है कि वो चाह रहा है कि जैसे जिंदगी में चीजें होती हैं ना, कि एक प्रॉपर ए बी से टकराएगा, बी सी से टकराएगा, सी एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ दैट सी डी से टकराएगा, और डी जो है वो ई से टकराएगा. Things should go. There should be a chain reaction. He believes in chain reactions. डोमिनोज को देखा है कभी? डोमिनोज एक लाइन में डाल दें, एक डोमिनो को हिलाते हैं, वो डोमिनोज की पूरी लाइन गिरती जाती है आखिर तक, and everything falls down. By the end of it reaches the point where it started. This is what he wants him. Aristotle wants कि chain reaction चले. He does not believe कि जी किसी birth mark से पहचान लिया जाए, या आंख खराब थी उससे पहचान लिया जाए, बालों के रंग से पहचान लिया जाए, ऐसी किसी चीज़ से ना पहचाना जाए. He does not also believe कि they should not be conceived by the author as well. There's no need for the author to bring things together. It should be done naturally. Consequence of event. उस तरह आपकी चीज़ जो है फाइनल उस तक पहुंचनी चाहिए. Recognition prompted by memory. Okay, this is all right. It's okay. Something happens and it triggered a memory that you thought you never had. ठीक है. होता है ना, कुछ memories होती हैं, छोटे होते कि जो आपको बहुत पुरानी, या कुछ ऐसी memories होती हैं जिनको आप suppress कर देते हैं, which do not come to your mind readily. But something happens, some song, some sound, some scene, some colors, something happens in front of you, and suddenly it flashes. So this can happen. This Aristotle somehow agrees with. अच्छा, it could happen through deductive reasoning, and this is good thing. अच्छा, उसने deduce किया, अच्छा ये वहाँ से आया है, वहाँ पे तो ये भी होता था, अच्छा मे बी ही वही बंदा है, अक्सर recognize कर लिया उसने. ठीक है. होता है ना, deductive reasoning आप करते हैं, अक्सर करते हैं हम, कि जैसे शर्लॉक होम्स तो बहुत ज़्यादा करता था. जैसे उसने सोच लिया कि अच्छा ये बंदा जो है ना ये चिली से आया है, कैसे पता चलेगा? उसके जूते को खास तरह के जूते थे, उसके नीचे फलां तरह का मेटल लगा हुआ था, ये मेटल सिर्फ चिली में ही होता है, इसलिए उसने assume कर लिया कि हाँ वो इस चीज़ वो यहाँ से आया हुआ है. दिस इज द डिडक्टिव रीजनिंग, एंड दिस recognition according to Aristotle is very good. अच्छा, recognition through faulty reasoning on part of a disguised character. एक कैरेक्टर है वो डिस्गाइज्ड है. ठीक है. वो किसी और का रूप लेके बैठा हुआ है, किसी और का मेकअप उसने किया हुआ है, एंड ही इज पोजिंग एज समवन एल्स, एंड दैट कैरेक्टर इज recognized because of something that he says which he is not supposed to know. ठीक है. अब वो तो कोई और बंदा बना हुआ है, he is not supposed to know if he's, let's say if he's posing as Z, and Z is not supposed to know about A. So if he says something that only A can know, then of course he's going to reveal himself, and because of that faulty reasoning, or इस तरह की कोई बात वो करेगा तो उसकी वजह से लोग उसको immediately recognize कर लेंगे. और recognition that is naturally a part of logical sequence of events. अब ये best kind है according to Aristotle, because he believes in logical sequence of events. He believes that things should move in a proper sequence, and as a result of this happening, someone should recognize something. ठीक है. कोई भी फैक्ट भी हो सकता है, पर्सन भी हो सकता है, फैमिली भी हो सकती है, एनीथिंग. बट दिस अकॉर्डिंग टू एरिस्टोटल इज द बेस्ट काइंड ऑफ एनाग्नोसिस, दैट यू आइडेंटिफाई समवन बिकॉज ऑफ लॉजिकल सीक्वेंस ऑफ इवेंट्स. अच्छा, 7 steps फॉलो करने चाहिए किसी भी पोएट को ड्रामा लिखते हुए, ट्रेजेडी लिखते हुए. The poet should be sure to visualize the action of his drama vividly. You should be able to see it. If you can't visualize it, if you can't see how it would happen on the stage, then avoid it. Okay? If you can't see that this action would look good, if you can't imagine it, avoid it. Do some more work. This is the same kind of thing. कि आप अगर कोई भी ड्रेस बनाते हैं तो यू शुड बी एबल टू विजुलाइज कि ये कलर कॉम्बिनेशन बन के कैसा लगेगा. जैसे घर में पेंट कराते हैं तो उसमें कितना वो ट्रिकी होता है ना कि यू हैव टू विजुलाइज कि अच्छा येलो रंग की दीवारें कराएं कैसा लगेगा. सो द आर्टिस्ट और द पोएट शुड बी एबल टू विजुलाइज वट एवर ही इज रिटन व्हाट इट वुड लुक लाइक ऑन स्टेज. ये एक्टिंग होके बन के ये कैसा लगेगा. जो डायरेक्टर्स होते हैं ना किसी भी प्ले के या मूवी के या ड्रामा के, उनके लिए सबसे ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट बात यही होती है ना कि दे हैव टू विजुलाइज थिंग्स एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट विजुलाइजेशन दे कैन पिक्चर फ्रॉम अ सर्टन एंगल. अगर वो उसको विजुलाइज ही नहीं कर सकते तो वो जो फॉल्टी किस्म के इश्तहार हम टीवी पे देखते हैं ना, समझ नहीं आती कि ये क्या कर रहे हैं, ये क्यों कर रहे हैं, इनसे क्या करवाना चाह रहा था. उस केस में ये होता है कि वो डायरेक्टर जो होता है वो विजुलाइज नहीं कर सकता और उसके बाद उस विजुलाइजेशन को ज़ाहिर वो कैरी आउट भी नहीं कर सकता कि वो करवाना क्या चाह रहा था. The poet should try acting out the events as he writes them. He should be able to be the character that he's writing about. He should try acting them out. वही बात है कि वो visualize करे और फिर उसको act out करके भी देखे कि जी कोई फर्क पड़ रहा है इसको act out करने से. Is it effective? Is it making me cry? The poet should first write an outline and then fill it up. पूरा ड्रामे की आउटलाइन बननी चाहिए पहले. He should know कि this is how it starts and this is how it should end and this portion is the middle and it should have the climax. And this should be the climax. He should have a rough sketch. ठीक है, वो क्या करना चाहता है. अगर Oedipus Rex की बात करें तो he should know कि there's going to be a king. He's going to going to be very stable and rich and suddenly he's going to recognize this fact and as a result of recognizing this fact he's going to have his downfall, going to take his eyes out. This is the downfall. तो उसको पहले वो करेगा, उसके बाद यानी कि बेसिक प्लॉट उसके पास होना चाहिए और उसके बाद वो उसके अंदर अपनी फिलिंग करेगा, यानी कि उसके अंदर एक्ट्स डालेगा, डायलॉग्स डालेगा और वेरी कैरेक्टर्स डालेगा सो दैट इट बिकम्स नेचुरल. अच्छा, एवरी प्ले हैज डेसेस एंड लूसेस. डेसेस आपको पता है जो क्लाइमैक्स से पहले के सारे इवेंट्स होते हैं जो कि क्लाइमैक्स की तरफ लेके जाते हैं प्ले को, एंड लूसेस इज समथिंग दैट इज आफ्टर क्लाइमैक्स. सो this should happen. Of course, there should be a series of events that is leading towards climax, and there should be a series of events that is leading from climax to towards the end of the play, towards the conclusion. Acha. There are 4 kinds of tragedy, and whatever kind the poet is attempting, all its components should be complete. These tragedies are complex tragedies, tragedy of character, tragedy of suffering, and tragedy of spectacle. ठीक है, जिस तरह की भी ट्रेजेडी लिखी जाए, जो भी ट्रेजेडी हो, उसके सारे कंपोनेंट्स पूरे होने चाहिए. कंपोनेंट्स क्या क्या थे जी? कंपोनेंट्स में सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट माइथोस के प्लॉट था, कैरेक्टर था, थॉट थी, मेलोडी थी, डिक्शन थी, स्पेक्टिकल था. ये सारी चीज़ें एक ट्रेजेडी के कंपोनेंट्स हैं. शुड हैव जो प्लॉट के फिर आगे कंपोनेंट्स आ जाते हैं कि उसमें एनाग्नोरिसिस होना चाहिए, पेरिपेशिया होना चाहिए, डेसेस होना चाहिए, लूसेस होना चाहिए, और प्लॉट की डिफरेंट टाइप्स भी मैंने आपको ऑलरेडी बता दी कि वो क्या होनी चाहिए. सो द ट्रेजेडी ऑफ spectacle, tragedy of suffering, the tragedy of character, or it should be a complex tragedy. The poet should focus on episodes and the chorus should be treated as an actor and the choral song should have a significance. ये चीज़ें जो है ना इनको फोकस करना चाहिए कि जो कोरस की सॉन्ग है ना, इट शुड बी, आई हैव ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू आई थिंक, कि कोरस की सॉन्ग को इग्नोर नहीं करना चाहिए, कि वो ये नहीं समझना चाहिए कि वो आपको एंटरटेन करने के लिए गाना गा रहे हैं, बल्कि द पॉइंट ऑफ द कोरल सॉन्ग इज टू ऐड टू द एक्शन. इट गिव्स यू अ बैकग्राउंड और इट टेल्स यू समथिंग इंपॉर्टेंट. जनरली ये होता है कि कोरल सॉन्ग में कोई बहुत सिग्निफिकेंट रेवलेशन होती है, सो इट शुड बी ट्रीटेड एज एन एक्टर. अच्छा जी, chapter number 19 and chapter number 22, basically यहाँ तक पहुँचते पहुँचते Aristotle has already talked all he has to say about poetry. So he's going to focus on the language aspect of it, and the language aspect of it is not very interesting. Why? Because we need to know Greek for this, and we do not know Greek, and we can't understand all these terminologies that he has to talk about the grammar, and we do not know about the verbs, the Greek verbs. There are long lists of verbs that we have to know in order to understand whatever he has to say about language. These are the least interesting chapters of the Poetics, and some of the people they believe that Aristotle has not written them because they're too detailed. scale, and whatever we have read so far has been so interesting and has, you know, such colorful variety in it that we don't think that Aristotle is capable of writing so much about the dry, boring grammatical stuff that he writes about. Here he's going to focus on thought as well. ठीक है? Thought क्या होती है? मैंने आपको ऑलरेडी बताया था कि character and thought are two different things. Character is about the morality of the character, of the protagonist or other character, the villain for that matter, antagonist के. लेकिन thought क्या चीज़ होगी? Thought of an agent is something that he expresses verbally. जो भी वो बोल रहे हैं ना, we are going to assume this is what he is thinking. ठीक है? Because अब TV dramas में तो नीचे script चल जाता है. ठीक है? या मूवीज़ में भी चल जाता है, या मूवीज़ में पीछे से आवाज़ उसकी, अगर वो सोच रहा है कुछ, ज़ाहिर दिखा तो नहीं सकते उसको सोचते हुए कि सोचते हुए क्या दिमाग में क्या सोच रहा है, तो वो पीछे से असाइड चल जाती है, पीछे आवाज़ चल जाती है. अब स्टेज ड्रामा चूँकि लाइव है, उसमें ये सब कुछ तो हो नहीं सकता. सो व्हाट डू दे डू? Whatever they say is what they are thinking. This is their thought. We have to take it like this. उनके कोई background motives हैं, underhand motives हैं, हमें नहीं पता. We are going to consider the thought is something that they're saying out loud. This includes reasoning, this includes arousing, this includes persuading. Whatever they say, whatever they, you know, take out of their mouth, whatever they utter, that is their thought. It is the impression that the agent is trying to make on another. आपने ये ध्यान रखना है कि वो जो भी कह रहा है वो आप पे इम्प्रेशन डालने के लिए कह रहा है. ठीक है? दिस इज़ व्हाट ही ट्राइज, व्हाट ही इज ट्राइंग टू से इज़ टू मेक यू थिंक अबाउट हिम दैट वे, दैट पर्टिकुलर वे. ठीक है? जो भी वो कह रहा है वो चाह रहा है कि आप उसको इस तरह समझें. ठीक है? और कुछ समझने की आपको ज़रूरत नहीं है, आपने वो समझना है जो वो कह रहा है. ही इज़ ट्राइंग टू मेक एन इम्प्रेशन एंड ही इज़ ट्राइंग टू मेक यू थिंक दैट दिस इज़ व्हाट ही इज़ और हु ही इज़. Agent may arouse emotion in one another by means of language. Of course, तो ये language क्या है? ये असल में उनकी thought है, और ये जो thought है ना, इसका purpose ये है कि it's going to make an impression on you, it's going to make you, it's going to introduce the character to you, it's going to tell you what the character is thinking, and it's also going to be used on stage for the sake of interaction. और वो एक दूसरे के इमोशंस अराउज करने के लिए, एक दूसरे को किसी भी एक्शन पे फोर्स करने के लिए, एग ऑन करने के लिए ये लैंग्वेज को इस्तेमाल करेंगे. दैट वुड बी देयर थॉट प्रोसेसेस. अच्छा, फिर शेक्सपियर कह रही हूँ, एरिस्टोटल जो है ही इज गोइंग टू फोकस ऑन मेटाफर. ही डज नॉट लाइक इट मच. ही सेज के दो ही यूजेस इट अ लॉट हिमसेल्फ, लेकिन उसके बावजूद वो कहता है कि बहुत ज़्यादा आर्टिफिशियल लगता है. इट्स लाइक, यू नो, स्प्रिंकलिंग of words. He does not believe in it much. He treats like extra spice sprinkled on top. It is used to raise poetry above the humdrum of everyday speech. ठीक है? अब वो कह रहे हैं कि its only purpose should be to increase the literary value of the work, to make it different from whatever we speak every day. That should be the only purpose of metaphor. Like उसने example मैं आपको देती हूँ, Juliet is the sun. ये है Romeo and Juliet में से, Shakespeare wrote it. अब Romeo could have simply said कि Juliet is beautiful, ठीक है? But it would not have the same effect. When he says that Juliet is the sun, we understand, he's trying to convey to us that Juliet is essential to his being, essential to the creation of the entire world. It's essential for the world to go on. This is how beautiful she is. This is how important she is. So metaphor इस तरह important हो जाता है कि it gives you much more than what a regular speech would give you. And Aristotle understands that. Acha, he's going to focus on style as well. He says that a poet should express himself with clarity but without meanness. Use of ordinary language is prosaic, so the language used should be or ostentatious, should be ornate. Should, of course, he does not like metaphor much, but he says that it should be used a little so that the language should be a little more poetic, and he should be clear, but the clarity should not be compromised just to make the language ornate, just to make the language flowery, just to make the language scholarly. ठीक है जी? That's about all. I'll give you a recap of whatever we have done so far. We started with the plots. We discussed the simple and the complex plot. We discussed that all plots are either simple or they are complex. ठीक है? But whatever the plot is, it should have a probable sequence of events. It should move from simple, it should have a proper beginning, it should have a proper middle, and it should have a proper end. The beginning does not need to have something, you know, from behind, whatever has been happening before that, and the end has to conclude at that particular point. It does not need to follow, and you do not need a sequel for that. A simple plot should not have the peripeteia or anagnorisis, but a complex plot would have all these elements. Lucis भी होगा, decis भी होगा, peripeteia भी होगा, anagnorisis भी होगा. Okay. The best kind of peripeteia is followed by anagnorisis or vice versa. This goes on. क्या पहले anagnorisis आ सकता है या पहले peripeteia आ सकता है? Peripeteia और anagnorisis एक दूसरे को follow भी कर सकते हैं. या पहले peripeteia होगा उसको follow करेगा anagnorisis, या anagnorisis पहले होगा peripeteia उसको follow करेगा. जो भी होगा, it should be a consequence of whatever has happened before. You have to keep that in mind. Aristotle काफ़ी ज़्यादा focus करता है इस बात पे कि it should be a proper sequence of events. अच्छा, peripeteia हमने बता दिया है already आपको कि it's a reversal of the state of affairs from fortunate to misfortunate. और anagnorisis क्या होता है? Anagnorisis is, you know, it's the recognition, your knowledge. From ignorance you move towards knowledge. So Aristotle कहता है कि there is a number of ways in which anagnorisis can be achieved. We have already discussed them. It could be either by a mark, it could be deductive reasoning, it could be because of the author, it could be because the author wants to, you know, by divine intervention, it could be the faulty reasoning of the character who's disguised, or it could be the, you know, probable sequence of events की वजह से. Suffering, according to Aristotle, is very important because it makes you feel pity and fear, which of course is the sole purpose of the tragedy. The suffering can be brought about by murder, by torturing, by wounds, anything so far. The quantitative elements का मतलब ये है कि जब आप ट्रेजेडी को एनालाइज करें तो उसमें ये एलिमेंट्स होने चाहिए. यहाँ पे बात ना स्ट्रक्चर की हो रही है, फॉर्म की बात हो रही है, विच इज़ ऑफ कोर्स इम्पोर्टेंट. तो फॉर्म जब आप डिस्कस करेंगे इसकी तो उसमें आएगा प्रोलोग, एपिसोड, एक्सोड, दिस अ कोरल सॉन्ग विच इज़ नोन एज कॉमस, और पेरोड होता है वो पहला सॉन्ग, प्रोलोग है जो पहले सॉन्ग के बाद है, कोरस के पहले सॉन्ग इंट्रोडक्टरी सॉन्ग के बाद होगा. स्टेसिमन इज समथिंग दैट इज बिटवीन every episode, every act के बाद whatever the choral sings is that known as statismon. It's singing in iambic meter, and exode is everything that follows the final choral song. Achha, best kinds of plot are those where a good man moves from misery, from fortune to misery, a bad man moves from misery to happiness, or a bad man goes from happiness to misery. अब according to Aristotle these are not very good ideas. ठीक है? He says कि अगर एक अच्छा आदमी fortune से misfortune की तरफ जाएगा तो अब you will feel a little bad about it. एक बुरा आदमी fortune से misfortune की तरफ जाएगा तो you will feel good about it. और अगर एक बुरा आदमी misfortune से fortune की तरफ जाएगा तो you won't like it. So the best kind of plot would be where a man who's like us, ordinary man who has both good and bad qualities, if he moves from fortune to misfortune, then we'll have this pity and fear and we'll have our catharsis. Elements of a good plot would be that it should focus on a single issue. The hero must go from fortune to misfortune rather than vice versa, because it's the better way according to him. कि अगर आप वो अच्छी जिंदगी से बुरी जिंदगी की तरफ जाएगा, the misfortune should be a result of hamartia. It should not be because of divine intervention. It should be a flaw of the character of the protagonist. The hero should be of intermediate worth. He should neither be good nor very bad as well. Second-rate plots would focus on two issues. ठीक है? And a second-rate plot there would be, you know, the good would fare and the bad would fare. The bad would, you know, fare poorly. But in a good plot, this won't happen. In a good plot, अच्छे लोगों के साथ भी बुरा हो सकता है. Likes of tragedy क्या है? Pity and fear. And they should be, you know, a probable sequence of event होना चाहिए, and as a result of that probable sequence or necessary sequence of events, that we should have these feelings of pity and fear. A writer should focus on his creation, and he should not focus on the spectacle. He should not rely on the spectacle to arouse pity and fear. Pity is something that we feel most when we hear the tragedies that occur between families, and this is when like I've already given you an example. Midas, he killed all his children, that's knowingly, and Oedipus killed his father unknowingly. So this is the best kind of pity when this happens. According to Aristotle, the third situation is when one character kills the other character, trying to kill the other character, but he finds a family connection, and as a result of finding that family connections, he refrains from doing so. The best kind of plot, according to Aristotle, is the third one. Okay? The worst case is where there's a full knowledge and there's a full preparation, the action is about to take place, but the character refrained from it because of any reason. That, according to Aristotle, is not good enough. अच्छा, character of the tragic hero, उसकी जो morality है, it's going to affect the moral of the play. He should be consistent, he should be realistic, and he should be, appropriate उसकी qualities होनी चाहिए character के लिए. अब he मैं कह रही हूँ does not necessarily mean he, it could be a she as well. अच्छा, लूसिस जो है another important point, that is disintegration जहाँ start हो रही है, चीज़ें ऐसा crumble down हो रही है. It should raise out of the plot, and there should be no miraculous happenings here. So if things they build up towards the climax, and as a result of that building up, climax आगे disintegration होती है, तो of course that is more effective according to Aristotle. Anagnorisis, I've already told you, we have discussed anagnorisis की different types हैं. It's either done by signs or marks contrived by the author, that's prompted by the memory, through deductive reasoning or through faulty reasoning on the part of a disguised character, or that is a naturally part of logical sequence of events. Consequently, ये हुआ फिर ये हुआ फिर ये हुआ. Finally, they reach at a result कि हाँ यही होना था. Actually, the 7 steps that a poet should follow while he's writing a tragedy is that he should be sure to visualize the action on the stage. He should be able to, before he writes it out, he should have an outline, and he should be able to act out the play. And if he acts out and if it's effective, then he should carry on. He should also have a decis and a lucis. And there are 4 kinds of tragedy, according to Aristotle. There are complex plots, there's tragedy of character, there's tragedy of suffering, and there's tragedy of spectacle. And the poet should focus on episodes, and the chorus should be treated as an actor. It should not be ignored. Whatever the chorus has to be say has to have a contribution on the plot. 19 to 22 is basically on language and style and diction, and it is difficult for regular English readers to understand them because there's a lot of Greek grammar involved in it, and they're very not interesting, and people believe that they are not written by Aristotle. इसमें एक फैक्टर जो है वो थॉट का है कि थॉट प्रोसेस इज बेसिकली व्हाट द राइटर हैज टू से थ्रू द कैरेक्टर्स. दिस इज व्हाटएवर दे से वर्बली. दे आर व्हाटएवर दे से वर्बली इज टू मेक एन इमेज ऑन योरसेल्फ, व्हाटएवर दे वांट यू टू थिंक ऑफ देम. ठीक है, एंड एजेंट्स मे राउज इमोशन अमंग ईच अदर बाय द यूज ऑफ दिस लैंग्वेज. फिर Aristotle focus करता है metaphor पे. He does not believe in it much. He does not think that it should be used much, but he thinks that it's just like a sprinkle, a spice sprinkled on the top of a food, so that the flavor is a little enhanced or it looks appetizing. He thinks that metaphor is used in order to increase the quality of the language. It should become a little more than whatever regular speech is like. And he says that the style should be clear, it should not be mean. ठीक है, clear होने का मतलब ये है कि ये नहीं कि बहुत concise और बहुत precise हो. It should avoid meanness. वो यानी कि ये ना हो कि clarity के चक्कर में बहुत थोड़ा सा लिखना शुरू कर दें, बल्कि वो explain करे. He should use words. He should be flowery language use करे, scholarly language use करे, but it should be clear as well. And because the use of ordinary language, everyday language would be prosaic. For writing prose, poetry should always be ostentatious, should always be ornate. This is about all, and we have left with the 4 chapters of poetics, which we're going to carry on in the next lecture. Thank you.